Enigma Renderings,
where stories whisper through shadows.
Welcome back, everyone. My name is Sangram, and you're listening to another cinematic story here on my channel, Enigma Renderings, where stories whisper through shadows.
This is my third cinematic audio story on this channel.
As I mentioned in my very first story, I'm trying something different, bringing classic Bengali literature to a wider audience by translating these timeless stories into English. If you haven't listened to my first two stories yet, you can check it out on my channel anytime. I truly believe these cinematic narrations can help not only those who want to listen a story, but also anyone who wants to improve their English through immersive storytelling. This is Enigma Renderings, your home for cinematic storytelling in English. And for those learning English, our stories become your classroom, where language flows through emotion. Today, I'm back with another classic mysterious tale written by the legendary Bibhutibhushan Bandyopadhyay. He was one of Bengal's most celebrated writers, born on September 12, 1894, in a village in what is now West Bengal, India. He lived a life deeply connected to the rural landscapes that often shaped his stories. Bibhutibhushan was best known for his novel Pathar Panchali, which was famously adapted into a classic film. He passed away on November 1, 1950, leaving behind the legacy of beautiful, evocative writing that captured the essence of Bengali life. A story woven with shadows, silence, and the unseen forces that walk among us. Tonight, I will present one of his most intriguing works, originally known as Asariri, a word that means the one without a body, the unseen, the unformed. I have translated it into English under the title UNSubstantial. This is a story of monsoon nights, of fever and fear, a story where a dying man lies alone, abandoned, until a strange shadow-like girl appears, drawing a glowing boundary around the house to protect him from something lurking in the darkness. So sit back and let the rain, the shadows, and the unknown guide you into tonight's tale, UNSubstantial.
All sorts of strange stories were being shared that day in our Lychee Tree Club gathering, but they were all the same dull village ghost stories: spirits in bamboo groves, mango orchards, ghosts wrapped in white cloth standing silently at night. We had heard those too many times. No one had anything better to say. Just then, Sharad Chakraborty entered our club gathering. He had worked many long years in the excise police department and had only recently retired. He was nearly 60. Apart from his main job, he also practiced tantra rituals, read horoscopes, and even helped people decide which gemstone rings would benefit them without taking any money. You wouldn't easily find someone who worked so selflessly for others. He was a truly gentle soul, respected by all. Many people didn't even smoke in front of him. Sharad Babu walked in and said,
Well, what a downpour today.
Shamapada Mukta replied,
Come, Chakraborty Mashai. We're telling ghost stories today, thanks to this rainy weather. But they're not turning out great. Maybe you could...
Sharad Chakraborty cut in.
I do have a story, but it's not a ghost story. Truth be told, I don't even know what kind of story it is. You all listen, and then decide what kind of story this is.
Hearing the story from his lips, we were all astonished. It felt as if heaven and earth had suddenly been tied together through the dark curtain of heavy monsoon rain. Sharad Babu began.
They suddenly transferred me across Jalpaiguri to the Duars region. My family was in Dhaka then, so I left them there and traveled alone to Jalpaiguri. New place, How could I bring everyone without seeing it myself first? Especially since my children were still studying in Dhaka. The place I went to was far from Jalpaiguri. One had to take a small line train. Tea gardens along the way. Forest everywhere. But beyond the distant green line of trees, one could see the majestic peaks of the Himalayas. A very lonely location. The place I went to was called Haldia, a small place. There I stayed in the senior sub-inspector's residence because my own house wasn't ready yet. His name was Rebati Mohan Mukherjee from Nadia district, quite fair, tall, slender. He treated me with great care and assured me he would arrange a house for me in a few days. On the third morning, he said to me,
"Let me tell you something."
I said, "What?" He said,
"Your coming here was a big mistake."
I asked, "Why do you say that?" He said,
"You don't know anything about this place, do you?"
I said, "No. What about it?" He said,
"During the monsoon, a terrible disease spreads here. Black water fever. You're new, so your chances of getting it are high. If you get a fever once or twice, black water will strike. And then, your life will hang by a thread. That's how things are here."
I asked, "Then how do all of you live here?" He replied,
"Talking about that is useless now. We don't stay by choice. We stay because of our stomachs, our livelihood. Where would I go at this age if I quit my job? How would I eat? 2 of my daughters died one after another from black water fever. Still, I didn't get a transfer. What can I do, Sharad Babu?"
I said, "So that's how it is." He advised me,
"Just be a little careful. Never drink water outside without boiling it first."
I asked, "Does black water fever always kill people?" He replied,
"If you don't get proper treatment, chances of survival are very low, especially newcomers during monsoon. Once they catch it, saving them becomes extremely difficult. I've seen 2 such cases. Both died."
Hearing this frightened me. But what good would fear do? How cautious could one really be in a completely unfamiliar place? I thought, whatever is written in fate will happen, and began my work. 10 to 12 miles apart, there were weed shops, liquor shops. I had to inspect them all. It actually felt nice. The forests were drenched in monsoon green. So many kinds of flowers blooming. So many kinds of birds calling. One day I even saw a distant snowy Himalayan peak shining like crystallized sugar in the morning sun. But lately sunlight was becoming rarer. Meanwhile, thanks to Rebati Babu, I got a good house. A bungalow built on wooden stilts, wooden planks on top, clean, dry floors. A big room with good air and light. My inner fear gradually faded. Then I wondered, perhaps Rebati Babu shouldn't have scared me the moment I arrived. Why did he? Was there some other motive behind it? My mind wandered through many thoughts. I also got a Brahmin orderly named Digambar Pade. He had been there a long time, cooked wonderfully. He did the market work and all the house chores. I had no trouble at all. 2 months later, I went to a place called Bamanapara North for excise inspection. It was a small market beside a tea garden. The trucks of the tea estate had Bamanapara North Tea Estate written on them. A small mountain stream had to be crossed before my bullock cart reached the market. It was around 10 in the morning. There were two Marwari merchants who traded in forest produce. A businessman from Medinipur named Deben Samanta had a timber business there. His brother, Shashi Samanta, ran the weeds and opium shop. While sitting there, I suddenly felt very unwell. My head throbbed. When I told Deben Samanta, he gave me some homeopathic medicine, saying,
This will cure it. Nothing to fear.
I asked, "Do you get black water here?" He replied.
Plenty.
I asked, "People die?" He replied.
Oh, yes. Quite a few.
Asked him again, "You aren't afraid?" He replied,
We've been here a long time. New people are the ones who suffer.
Everyone seemed to say the same thing. I could barely sit while checking the weeds accounts. I finished quickly and climbed onto my cart. I felt thirsty on the way and drank water from a tin shed in the Bamanapara North Tea Garden, given by a Nepali watchman. When I reached home, it was late. I had a strong fever. Shivering chills struck me on the way. Hearing the news, Rabati Babu rushed over. The doctor was called. Medicines and injections were given. Within 3 days, the fever left. "15 days passed peacefully. Everyone said it must have been a sudden cold. Nothing serious. I convinced myself of the same. I began working again. No weakness. One day, while sitting at the Haldia police station chatting with the inspector, suddenly another fever struck. The inspector immediately sent me home with one of his men. I told Digambar, "Bring me water." I drank and lay down, spending 3 days in a feverish haze. Rabati Babu and the inspector came twice a day, teaching Digambar how to prepare my sago and barley. 3 days later, the fever went away. I gradually recovered, started working again. 15 days later, while inspecting an excise case in the tea garden, suddenly another fever hit. But this time, I noticed something. The fever in this place came like magic, appearing and disappearing like an illusion. So by now, I was no longer afraid the way I was during the first attack. I told my orderly, "Prepare the same food as before." But this time, everything became different. This time, I did not escape so easily. Within 2 days, the unmistakable signs of severe black water fever appeared. Due to extreme blood loss, I became dangerously weak. It took 5 or 6 days to recover. 2 days into the special diet, one morning, Rabati Babu and the inspector came to see me. I told Digambar to make tea, but they didn't drink any. Later I understood. They didn't drink because they thought black water was contagious. The inspector said,
"Sharad Babu, I must tell you something."
I told him, "Say it." He said,
"You should leave this place."
I asked, "Why?" He replied,
"That's the doctor's opinion."
I said, "He didn't tell me anything." The inspector hesitated.
"No, he didn't tell you. He told us to tell you, so I felt I had to. He said your illness is very serious, meaning..."
"But I've recovered," I said. Then he replied,
"That recovery is very uncertain, Sharad Babu."
I said, "Fine. Then how am I supposed to reach the station? There's no safe way to cross the Rakshia Ghat River." He replied,
"Don't worry. We're arranging a stretcher from the tea garden. Coolies will come. A police constable will accompany you and won't return until they put you on the train."
I said. All right. Back then, I didn't know that if things had gone differently that day, it might have been the last day of my life. I agreed, and the inspector left. It must have been around 9 o'clock then. I told my orderly to heat some water so I could wash my body and face. Then I ate a bowl of barley. A little later in the day, I ate 2 spoonfuls of rice, too. Afternoon, people arrived with the stretcher.
At this point, Sharad Chakraborty paused and said,
I feel like having some tea.
We all said, "Finish the story first." He replied,
I'll tell you after I drink some tea. I've now reached the real part of the story, so let me wet my throat a bit.
Nitai Babu, the lawyer, immediately protested.
You say you had blackwater fever, you recovered, you ate a proper diet, then why did the doctor say your illness was serious? You recovered, didn't you?
Sharad Babu answered,
You'll understand what kind of recovery it was when you hear the rest. Actually, I hadn't recovered at all.
Then why did the doctor prescribe you a diet?
Nitai Babu demanded. So, as per that, Sharad Babu replied,
I cannot answer that. I never asked. I only know what happened, and that's what I am telling.
You're saying a strange thing indeed. What kind of doctor behaves like that?
Nitai Babu muttered. Sharad Babu said,
I never thought about that either. All right, now I'll continue.
He resumed the story.
After noon, the men from the tea garden arrived with the stretcher. Rabati Babu and the inspector were both standing there. Digambar and I were packing my things, and just then, the fever struck again. A terrible, shivering fever. I couldn't sit. I rushed inside and had Digambar quickly unroll my bedding on the floor. I lay down. And after that, I don't remember anything. My entire consciousness was swallowed up in a thick, impenetrable darkness. When I opened my eyes again, 2 things were the first to catch my attention. 1, outside the window in the darkness, a branch of a tree was swaying in the wind. 2, my box and bundle were placed near the wall at my feet, and my umbrella was leaning in the corner. I wondered, am I on the train already? But why is the railway compartment so dark? And where are the others? Why is there no one else here? Then slowly, like clouds clearing from the mind's sky, my thoughts cleared. I remembered I had never been lifted onto the stretcher. I had lain down due to the fever. So how am I here? If this is my room, then where is Digambar? Why hasn't he lit a lamp? Where exactly am I? Thirst rose in my throat. I tried calling him. My voice didn't come out. I tried twice. Twice my voice stuck. It felt as though the moon had risen outside. A faint light seeped in through the window. I stared ahead for a while. Not a sound inside the room or outside. Suddenly, my eyes drifted to the outside, and I saw something. Then even now, even after all these years, my skin shivers remembering it. I saw a dark girl, like a shadow, moving extremely fast around my room. She kept circling the house, and with a stick she was doing something on the ground. Twice she passed by the front door, crouching low, and the third time, she suddenly lifted her face, looked straight at me, and waved her hand. She said,
"Don't be afraid. I'm drawing a boundary. No one can enter it tonight. Sleep.
I saw her only for a moment. Then she turned away toward the other side. And after that, I lost all awareness again. Did I fall asleep? I don't know how long later I awoke, but when I opened my eyes, the same dark girl was sitting beside my pillow. She couldn't have been more than 18. And one thing I noticed, she was sweating heavily, as if her whole body was drenched, her face shining with sweat. When I looked at her, she spoke in an incredibly sweet, gentle voice.
Why did you wake? Sleep. Sleep. No fear. Sleep. Sleep. Sleep.
The moment she said the last sleep, I fell asleep listening to her voice. Just before sleep overtook me, my eyes went to the same branch outside the window, moonlight resting softly on it. That is where my story ends. In the morning, when I woke up, I felt as though I had awoken from a perfectly normal sleep. No heaviness in the body, just great weakness. I couldn't get up from the bed. Gradually, as the morning passed, I saw Digambar stepping quietly into the room, peeking inside anxiously. When I called him, he jumped in fright and said nothing. I told him, "Go call Rabati Babu." He left, startled. After a while, many people came to see me, Rabati Babu among them. Rabati Babu asked, "How are you, Sharad Babu?" I said, "I'm fine. I want to eat something." Immediately he went out and said something to someone. Soon a bowl of barley came. I felt strength returning after eating it. The doctor came and examined me. He said the fever had left. 2 days later, I was completely cured. I continued my diet. Then gradually, I learned what had happened that terrible night. They had all left me alone, thinking I was dying. The doctor had said I would not survive the night. They even discussed who would go for my death cremation in the morning, where the wood would be bought. Everything was arranged. A constable was to be sent at dawn to telegraph my family the news of my death. And yet, in that abandoned, friendless state, someone stayed beside my dying bed all night. Someone circled my room with a boundary, protecting me from danger. When everyone else abandoned me, someone guarded me. I cannot answer who she was. If you say it was a fever dream, I will not argue. But if it was a dream, it was a dream so noble, so tender, that it left a blessing in my heart for the rest of my life.
Sharad Chakraborty fell silent. His eyes seemed moist. Lawyer Nitai Padaraha asked,
How long did you stay in Haldia after recovering?
Until the government transferred me. Nearly 2 years.
You stayed alone in the house?
Just me and Digambar. No one else.
Did you ever see anything again?
No.
Fell ill again?
No.
It was a dense monsoon night, dark outside. Fireflies flickered among the leaves of the night flower tree in the courtyard. We all remained silent for a long time. Even Nitai the lawyer didn't speak further. Rain was about to fall, so we handed Sharad Chakraborty his umbrella and sent him home.
So guys, that's all for today's story. I really hope you enjoyed listening to it as much as I enjoyed bringing it to life. Don't forget to like, comment, and share your thoughts. I'd love to know what you think about today's tale. And if you'd like to experience more stories like this, mysterious, emotional, and full of illusion, make sure to hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for what's coming next. We'll meet again next week with another story from the world of Enigma Renderings, where stories whisper through shadows.